They faked emergencies for years while renovating their kitchen with my money, so I froze every account and watched them panic. Now they're selling furniture to survive. My name is Sarah Martinez, and at 29 I thought I knew exactly who my family was. Loving, supportive, the kind of people who'd have your back no matter what. I was wrong. 3 months ago, I discovered that the people I'd spent my entire life protecting and providing for had been playing me like a fiddle. And the way I found out, through a simple mistake that unraveled 29 years of lies in about 30 seconds. If you've ever had that moment where everything you believed about your family turned out to be bullshit, drop a comment below. Because what I'm about to tell you will make you question every family dinner, every emergency phone call, every time someone said they needed your help. I grew up thinking I was the lucky one, the success story, the daughter who made it out of our working-class neighborhood in East LA and built something real. My parents, Maria and Carlos Martinez, immigrated from Mexico when I was 5. Dad worked construction, Mom cleaned houses. They broke their backs so my younger brother Diego and I could have opportunities they never had. At least, that's the story I told myself for 3 decades. Diego was always the baby, 7 years younger than me, born with a heart condition that required expensive surgeries when he was little. Mom and Dad focused all their energy on keeping him alive, which meant I learned early to take care of myself. Not just physically, but emotionally too. While they drove Diego to endless doctor appointments, I walked myself to school. While they helped him with homework, I figured it out on my own. When he needed new clothes or equipment for his treatments, I wore hand-me-downs and shoes with holes in them. Mija, you understand, right? Mom would say, her eyes tired from another sleepless night in the hospital. Diego needs us more right now. I understood. Of course I understood. I was the big sister, the responsible one, the one who never caused problems. By the time I turned 18, I had a full scholarship to UCLA and a part-time job to cover everything the scholarship didn't. I studied business during the day and worked at a restaurant at night, sending money home whenever I could because Dad's back was giving out and Mom's cleaning jobs weren't enough. "You're our miracle, Sarah," Dad would say when I handed him yet another envelope of cash. "Our smart girl who's going to change everything for this family." I believed him. God, I believed every word. After college, I started working at a small marketing firm in downtown LA. I was hungry, desperate to prove myself, willing to work weekends and holidays if it meant climbing the ladder. Within 3 years, I'd been promoted twice. Within 5, I was making more money than my parents had ever seen. And I shared it. Of course I shared it. When Dad's back finally gave out completely and he couldn't work construction anymore, I paid for his surgery and covered the family's expenses while he recovered. When Mom's cleaning business started losing clients to bigger companies, I helped her pivot to catering, buying her professional equipment, and funding her first few events. When Diego graduated high school and wanted to go to art school, expensive art school, I co-signed his loans and helped with living expenses. "Family takes care of family," Mom always said. "That's how we survive." I never questioned it. Why would I? I was successful, they were struggling, and helping them felt like paying back everything they'd sacrificed for me. But here's the thing about being the family ATM. Once you start, it never stops. Dad's recovery turned into early retirement. Mom's catering business somehow never quite got off the ground despite my constant financial injections. Diego's art school turned into a 6-year journey of finding himself that included 3 major changes, 2 gap years, and a lifestyle that looked suspiciously expensive for someone who was supposedly broke. Every few months, there'd be a new crisis. A medical bill, a car repair. An opportunity that just needed a little seed money. And every time, I'd open my wallet and help because that's what family does. Last year alone, I gave them $43,000. I know the exact amount because I'd started tracking it, not out of resentment, but because I was considering buying a house and needed to understand my cash flow. $43,000, more than some people's entire salary. But I told myself it was temporary. Diego would graduate soon and start supporting himself. Dad would figure out some kind of work he could do with his bad back. Mom's catering business would take off. I was an idiot. The truth came out on a Tuesday morning in March. I was in my office, reviewing campaign proposals, when my phone buzzed with a group text notification. The message was from Diego, sent to a chat called Martinez Money Club that I'd apparently been added to by mistake. "Sarah just approved another $5K transfer for Mom's catering supplies," Diego had written. "She's so fucking clueless. I'm using my cut to hit Vegas this weekend. Anyone want to come? My coffee mug hit the floor. The crash echoed through my office, but I barely heard it over the sound of my world imploding. I stared at the screen, reading those words over and over, hoping they'd change. My cut. My fucking cut. More messages started popping up. Mom, be careful what you put in writing, Mijo. And remember, keep asking about her house fund. If she starts saving for a down payment, that's money we can't access. Dad, the disability payments are getting reviewed next month. Might need to play up the back pain more if Sarah asks questions. Diego, already on it, told her I need money for art supplies next week. She ate it up like always. My hands were shaking, actually shaking. I read through the entire thread, 3 months of messages that painted a picture so ugly, so calculated that I couldn't process it at first. They weren't just taking my money. They were strategizing about it, planning it out like a fucking business operation. Diego hadn't been struggling in art school. He'd been using my money to fund a lifestyle that included expensive dinners, designer clothes, and weekend trips. The photos were right there in the chat. Him at some upscale club in Hollywood, wearing a watch that cost more than my monthly rent. Dad's disability, the back injury that supposedly prevented him from working. He'd been playing golf twice a week at a country club. There were pictures of him on the course, looking perfectly fine, laughing with buddies who were apparently in on the joke about his invalid daughter who pays for everything. Mom's catering business that never quite got off the ground. She'd been using the money I gave her for equipment and supplies to renovate their house. New kitchen, new furniture, new landscaping. All funded by their successful daughter who never visits anymore so she won't notice. But the worst part, the part that made me physically sick, was how they talked about me. Sarah's such a people pleaser, Mom had written. She needs to feel needed. As long as we keep her thinking she's our savior, she'll keep paying. Sometimes I almost feel bad, Diego had added. But then I remember she makes bank and we raised her, so really we're just collecting on our investment. Dad's response was the knife through my heart. Don't feel bad. She chose to be the family martyr. If she's stupid enough to keep giving us money without asking questions, that's on her. Family martyr. Stupid enough to keep giving. I sat in my office for 2 hours, reading through every message, looking at every photo, piecing together a fraud so elaborate and long-running that it made professional scammers look like amateurs. They'd been playing me for years. Maybe forever. Every emergency, every crisis, every tearful phone call about struggling to make ends meet, it had all been performance. Theater designed to extract money from the daughter they saw as their personal bank account. And I'd fallen for it. Completely. Enthusiastically. When I finally stopped shaking enough to drive, I headed straight to their house. The house I'd been helping to pay for, though I hadn't known it. I used my key, the one Mom had given me for emergencies, and walked into a home I barely recognized. The living room had a massive flat-screen TV, the kind that costs as much as a car. The furniture was all new, expensive-looking leather stuff that belonged in a showroom. The kitchen had been completely renovated with granite countertops and professional-grade appliances. This from the family that had been asking me for grocery money just last month. Sarah, Mom's voice came from upstairs. What are you doing here, Mija? She appeared at the top of the stairs wearing clothes I'd never seen before. Designer jeans, a cashmere sweater, jewelry that caught the light when she moved. Nice TV, I said, my voice sounding strange and hollow to my own ears. Mom glanced at it like she was seeing it for the first time. Oh, we got it on sale. Your father needed something to keep him occupied since his back. How much was the sale price? She hesitated. I don't remember exactly. Because I can look up that exact model right now, and the cheapest I can find it anywhere is $4,000. The color drained from her face. Sarah, why are you asking such specific questions? I pulled out my phone and read Diego's message aloud. Sarah just approved another $5,000 transfer for Mom's catering supplies. She's so fucking clueless. The silence was suffocating. Mom's mouth opened, closed. No words, just guilt. Upstairs, I heard Dad call out, Maria, who's here? Just Sarah, she answered, voice taut. Sarah, what does she want? We just got money from her last week. That line hit harder than any text. Like I was a transaction, not a daughter. Dad appeared at the stairs, saw my face, paused. Shit. That's all you've got, I said. He came down slow, no limp now. How'd you find out? Diego sent your little Martinez Money Club messages to the wrong group. Mom dropped onto the new leather couch. It's not what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like, I snapped. You lied for years while I killed myself trying to help. We never asked you to work that hard, Dad said, like he deserved a medal. No, just asked for my money. You have plenty, Mom whispered. Nice apartment, good job. So that means you're entitled to everything I earn. We're your parents, Dad shouted. We sacrificed for you. And I paid it back. $43,000 last year alone, that's more than you ever made in construction. Diego's voice cut in from the stairs. You make that in, what, 4 months? He stepped into view, that smug grin I once mistook for warmth now unmistakably cruel. Don't be dramatic, he said, flopping into one of the new chairs I'd unknowingly paid for. It's not like we're hurting you, you've got plenty. I have plenty because I work, you leech. It's not stealing, you gave it to us. Under lies, that's fraud. It's family helping family, you're just tight with money. I'm tight because I earn it, you manipulate your sister. I didn't manipulate anything, you offered. Because you pretended to be desperate, he shrugged. We never said we were broke. You said you couldn't afford groceries. I said money was tight, not the same thing. The gaslighting was seamless, practiced, I almost believed it, almost. I read everything, Diego, the messages, the photos, the golf trips, the clothes, the lies. Dad crossed his arms. So what now? You cut off your family because we let you help. The way he twisted it, like they were the victims, like I was being cruel for discovering their lies, was masterful. I could see how they'd manipulated me for years without me even realizing it. I'm going to cut you off because you lied to me, because you stole from me, because you see me as a bank account instead of a daughter. Don't be ridiculous, Diego said. We're family. Family doesn't cut each other off. Family also doesn't run elaborate cons on each other. Con? Mom's voice was sharp with indignation. How dare you call your family a con? I looked around the room one more time. At the expensive electronics and furniture bought with my money. At the parents who'd raised me to believe in honesty and hard work while practicing neither. At the brother who saw my success as his personal piggy bank. I want my house key back, I said. Mom looked up, mascara starting to run down her cheeks. Sarah, please, let's talk about this like adults. Adults don't steal from their children. We didn't steal, Dad exploded. You gave us that money willingly. Because you lied about needing it. We never said we were destitute. You said Dad couldn't work because of his back. I said work was difficult with my back. That's not the same thing. The gaslighting was so fluid, so automatic, I wondered how long they'd been practicing it. How many years had they been perfecting the art of making me doubt my own reality? Give me my key, I repeated. Sarah, Mom pleaded, you're our daughter, you can't just walk away from family. Watch me. I held out my hand until Dad reluctantly dropped the key into my palm. Then I walked to the door, paused, and turned back. Don't contact me unless it's to discuss paying back the money you stole, and don't you dare show up at my apartment or my office. You'll regret this, Diego called after me. Family is all you have in the end. I stopped at the door. No, Diego, love is all you have in the end, and you just proved you never had any. The drive home felt numb. No tears, no anger, just a hollow ache where my trust used to be. Back in the apartment they said was too much for one person, I sat alone. My phone exploded, texts from Mom, Dad, Diego, apologies tangled with blame. Mom, Mija, call me, we need to talk about this misunderstanding. Dad, you're being childish, we raised you better. Diego, hope you're happy, you just destroyed our family over money. I turned off the phone, poured a glass of wine, and stared at everything I'd earned on my own. The money wasn't the real loss. It was the betrayal, the years of fake emergencies, of guilt masked as love. I'd canceled vacations, lost sleep, and bent over backward for people who saw me as a bank account. I called Jessica. Sarah, this isn't just about money. This is emotional and financial abuse. It's calculated. I keep wondering if I'm overreacting. They stole from you and laughed about it. That's not family, it's fraud. She was right. I told them not to contact me. The silence that followed wasn't sad, it was clean, still. No more emergencies, no more guilt. Then came the backlash. Mom cried in my office lobby until security removed her. Dad called my boss, pretending to be a client. Diego messaged my coworkers, begging for money. Extended family chimed in, you're tearing the family apart. Money isn't worth this. Your parents are devastated. Did they tell you they stole $43,000 from me? I asked. They said you gave it willingly. Under lies, that's fraud. Some understood, Miguel called and said, I've seen them manipulate you for years, I'm proud of you. Tia Carmen admitted Mom had been bragging about renovations while claiming to be broke, but most didn't care. As long as it was kept in the family, it wasn't wrong. 3 weeks later, Dad showed up at my door. We need to talk, he said. No, I replied through the locked chain. We needed to talk before you lied to me. You're successful, we're proud of you. Proud enough to lie, to steal, he flinched. You're going to destroy your family over money. No, I said coldly. You did that when you treated your daughter like a bank. He tried to smooth it over. You're being dramatic. No, I said, voice steady. I'm being honest. Something you forgot how to be. We stared at each other through the gap in the door. This man who'd taught me about hard work and integrity while practicing neither. This man who'd raised me to believe family was everything while treating me like nothing more than a source of income. What do you want from me? I asked finally. I want my daughter back. Your daughter never left. Your ATM grew up and learned to say no. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed, and it sounded harsh even to me. Dad, you stole $43,000 from me. You lied to me for years. You and Mom and Diego sat around planning how to manipulate me out of more money, but I'm being unfair. We love you, Sarah. No, you don't. You love what I represent. Success you can take credit for. Money you didn't earn but feel entitled to. A daughter who was stupid enough to believe your lies for as long as I did. You're my blood. Blood doesn't entitle you to my bank account. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, so that's it, you're cutting us off permanently. I'm cutting off the lies. If you want a relationship with me, it starts with honesty and paying back what you stole. We don't have $43,000. Then get it, sell the TV. Sell the new furniture. Return whatever you bought with my money that you can still return. Get jobs. Do whatever you have to do, but figure it out. Sarah, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. Reasonable would be pressing charges. Reasonable would be telling everyone in our extended family exactly what you did instead of letting you spin this as a misunderstanding. Reasonable would be cutting you off completely and never speaking to you again. And if we can't pay it back, I looked at him, really looked at him. This man who'd once been my hero. Who'd worked construction to give me opportunities. Who'd taught me that hard work and honesty were the most important values a person could have. When had he changed? Or had I just been too naive to see who he really was? Then I guess you'll have to live with the consequences of your choices, I said finally. He turned to leave, then stopped. Your mother is heartbroken. Your mother should have thought about that before she decided to steal from her daughter. You're going to regret this. I already regret it. I regret believing you for as long as I did. I regret giving you money I should have invested in my future. I regret all the time I wasted feeling guilty about my success instead of celebrating it. After he left, I sat in my apartment shaking. The conversation had gone exactly as I'd expected, but it still hurt. There's something devastating about realizing the people who raised you see you as nothing more than a source of income. That evening, I called Jessica again. How do you feel? She asked after I told her about Dad's visit. Empty, sad. Angry, relieved, all at the same time. That sounds about right for cutting toxic people out of your life. But they're not just toxic people, they're my parents. Sarah, listen to me. Being related to someone doesn't give them permission to abuse you. Financial abuse is still abuse. I know that intellectually, but emotionally, you're grieving the family you thought you had. That's normal. It's also temporary. She was right. I was mourning not just the loss of my family, but the loss of the illusion that they'd ever really loved me unconditionally. It felt like a death, except the people were still alive and actively trying to manipulate me back into their web. The next few months were hard. Holidays were the worst. No family dinner to attend, no one to buy gifts for, no traditions to maintain. I spent Thanksgiving with Jessica's family and Christmas alone, which was depressing but also oddly liberating. My work, freed from the constant drain of family emergencies, began to thrive in ways I hadn't expected. Without the guilt and stress of constant manipulation, I had more energy to focus on my career. I took on bigger clients, launched new campaigns, and got promoted to senior account director. The money I'd been giving to my family went into savings and investments. For the first time in years, I was building wealth instead of just funding other people's lifestyles. But the hardest part was the isolation. Cutting off my family meant losing most of my extended family too, cousins who sided with my parents, aunts and uncles who thought I was being too harsh. A social circle that had revolved around family gatherings and shared traditions. I had to rebuild my entire support system from scratch. Jessica introduced me to her friend group. I joined a hiking club and met people who shared my interests. I started going to networking events not just for work, but for genuine connection. Slowly, I began to understand what healthy relationships looked like. People who were happy for my success instead of resentful. Friends who offered support without expecting payment. Connections based on mutual respect rather than obligation and guilt. 6 months after the confrontation, I was hiking with my new friend group when my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. Sarah, the voice was shaky, unfamiliar. This is Dr. Patricia Lopez at Cedars-Sinai. I'm calling about your father, Carlos Martinez. My stomach dropped. What happened? He's had a heart attack. He's stable now, but it was serious. He's asking for you. The old Sarah would have dropped everything and rushed to the hospital, would have forgotten all about the lies and manipulation and focused only on the fact that her father needed her. But I wasn't that Sarah anymore. Is he going to be okay? I asked. The next 24 hours are critical, but his prognosis is good if he follows medical advice. Thank you for calling. Please let him know I hope he recovers quickly. Aren't you coming to the hospital? I looked around at my hiking group, people who'd shown me more genuine care in 6 months than my family had in years. People who celebrated my successes instead of trying to profit from them. No, I said, I'm not. After I hung up, Jessica, who'd overheard the conversation, looked at me with concern. Are you okay? I think so. Is that terrible? My father's in the hospital and I'm not rushing to his bedside. Sarah, this is exactly what they'd use to manipulate you back in. His heart attack doesn't erase the $43,000 they stole. It doesn't undo the years of lies. But what if he dies? Then he dies. And you'll grieve the father you thought you had, not the man who betrayed you. It sounded harsh, but it was also true. The father I'd loved and respected had been a fiction. The real Carlos Martinez was a man who saw his daughter's success as his personal piggy bank. That evening, Mom called. Sarah, your father is in the hospital. He had a heart attack. I know, the doctor called me. And you're not coming? No, he's your father. He's also a thief. Sarah, how can you be so cold? I'm not cold. I'm protecting myself from people who have proven they can't be trusted. He could die. Then he should have thought about that before he decided our relationship was worth $43,000. You're going to regret this for the rest of your life. Maybe, but I'll regret staying trapped in your web of lies even more. She hung up on me. Dad survived the heart attack. I heard through my cousin Miguel that he made a full recovery and was back to his normal routine within a month. The same cousin told me that my parents had been telling everyone I'd refused to visit him in the hospital, painting me as the heartless daughter who abandoned her father in his moment of need. The narrative they'd created made me the villain. The ungrateful child who turned her back on family over money. It hurt, but it also confirmed that I'd made the right choice. Even facing a health crisis, their instinct was to manipulate and control rather than take responsibility for their actions. A year after cutting them off, I got a letter, not from Mom or Dad, but from Diego. Sarah, it began, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need to tell you something. My girlfriend left me last month. She said I was manipulative, entitled, always looking for someone else to bail me out of my problems. She was right. I've been thinking about what happened between us, and I realize now how wrong we were. Not just about taking your money, but about the way we treated you. You worked so hard for everything you have, and instead of being proud of you, we saw you as a resource to exploit. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even expect you to respond to this letter. But I wanted you to know that I understand now why you cut us off. We didn't deserve your love or your money. We definitely didn't deserve your trust. I'm getting help. Real help, not just promises to change. And I'm going to pay you back every penny I took from you, even if it takes me 10 years. I miss my sister. Not the bank account, not the safety net, but the person who used to believe in me even when I didn't believe in myself. I know I destroyed that, and I know it's probably gone forever. But I wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what we did to you, and I'm sorry. Love, Diego. P.S. I've been working 2 jobs and living in a studio apartment in Van Nuys. I'm not asking for money or help or anything except the chance to prove that I can be better. You don't owe me that chance, but I'm going to earn it anyway. I read the letter 3 times. The first time I was angry. This felt like another manipulation, another attempt to get back into my good graces. The second time I was sad, mourning the brother I'd thought I had and the relationship that was probably gone forever. The third time I was cautiously hopeful. Not hopeful enough to respond or reach out, but hopeful enough to file the letter away instead of throwing it out. Change was possible, but it had to be proven through actions, not words. 6 months later, I got another letter. This one contained a check for $800 and a note. First payment. Many more to come, no strings attached. Then another 6 months later, another check, another note. Got promoted at work, bigger payments coming. Diego never asked for anything, never tried to use the money he was paying back as leverage for a relationship, never suggested that his payments entitled him to my time or attention. He just paid. 2 years after our confrontation, I had my accountant verify that Diego had indeed paid back over $10,000 of the money he'd taken. No contact, no demands, just payments with simple notes. My parents, meanwhile, had made no attempt to pay back anything. According to Miguel, they were still telling people I'd abandoned them over a misunderstanding, and that they were the real victims in the situation. But Diego was different. Diego was actually changing. So when he sent a letter asking if I'd be willing to meet for coffee, no expectations, no agenda, just coffee if you're open to it, I found myself saying yes. We met at a neutral location, a small cafe in Silver Lake where neither of us had any history. He looked different, thinner, more tired, but somehow more solid. Like he'd been broken down and rebuilt with stronger materials. "You came," he said when he saw me. "I almost didn't. I understand why." We ordered coffee and sat in uncomfortable silence for a few minutes. Finally, Diego spoke. "I've been going to therapy." "Good for you. My therapist helped me understand something. We weren't just taking your money, we were taking your love and weaponizing it against you." I wasn't expecting that level of insight. "Yeah, you were. The worst part is we convinced ourselves we deserved it. Like your success was somehow ours too, like you owed us a cut of everything you earned." "Why?" He thought about it for a long moment. "I think because it was easier than admitting we were failures. If we could blame our problems on not having money, then we didn't have to face the fact that our problems were actually about character." And now? "Now I know that you don't owe me anything. Not money, not help, not even this conversation. Everything I get from you going forward has to be earned. Diego, I need you to understand something. I can't go back to the way things were. Even if you pay back every penny, even if mom and dad suddenly change completely, I can't go back to being the family bank. I wouldn't want you to. That wasn't love." I don't know what it was, but it wasn't love. We talked for almost 2 hours, no drama, no guilt, just two people owning what they'd become. Diego spoke about his jobs, therapy, and the slow realization of how toxic our family had been. I told him about my career, the life I'd built from peace, not obligation. Before we left, he hugged me. "I'm proud of you," he said, "for walking away, for protecting yourself." "Thank you," I said. And I meant it. We've had coffee twice since. No pressure, no agenda, just consistency. My parents are still cut off, still spinning their stories, still pretending they're the victims. They never paid a cent back, never apologized, but Diego did the work. And that matters. Will we ever be close again? Maybe not. Some damage runs too deep, but I'm open. Slowly, carefully. As for my parents, let them tell whatever story helps them sleep. I know the truth. I didn't choose money over family. I chose self-respect over manipulation, and I'll never regret that. The woman I am now is stronger, clearer, unapologetically mine, with real friendships, real boundaries, real peace. If you see yourself in my story, remember this: DNA doesn't entitle anyone to your resources. Love without respect isn't love. And if walking away makes you the villain in their version, then be the villain. Because your peace is worth more than their approval, and choosing yourself is the best revenge.